Hi everyone, welcome to the Pug Love tutorial. This is a really cute art project that you can do on paper, or if you purchased a kit, you might have a big white canvas that you're working with. Either way, what you're going to need is some paint. You actually can do this in watercolor if you have watercolor at home. I'll be demonstrating with acrylic. If you ordered the kit, you have some paints that look like this. Mine are probably a lot more messy than yours, but Miss Mervin has been working with these for a few sessions. And then it's nice to have a paint tray, and you can also use little yogurt lids. And you can see that mine are well loved, but they really work. The other thing I recommend you having is a little cup of water and a wet rag. This just helps so that when you're doing your fine details and changing your paint color, you can just dip it in the water and wash your brush right away. So today what I wanted to show you is how to make this beautiful teal color. A lot of times this color isn't in the paint set. And so what I did is, actually, I just need to add a little thing like this. When you make teal, you're going to want to use 2 parts blue. And that's kind of just a quick measurement, but how you can think about it is you squirt your blue out, and then you're gonna want half of the blue amount in green. So 2 parts blue, 1 part green, and then an even smaller part of yellow, about half of what that green is. And I think I need just a touch more yellow in there. So a little bit of yellow, a little bit more green, and the most will be blue. So I'll show you that. And what I did is I just mixed them all together, and I got, sorry, my brushes are dirty, this teal right here. And it was a little bit darker than this. And what I did is I just squirted some white on there and then mixed it till I got it to a color that I wanted. So that's what you're going to do if you want to use teal for your background. You're going to mix blue, green, and yellow. If you want a different color of your background, go for it. There's so many vibrant colors in the kit. On this sample, I did like a softer orange. So I took my orange and I added, actually I took my white and I added a bit of orange to it, and then I got this soft color. So that's an orange and white mix. And then with this, actually what I did is I took my white and I added just a touch of brown and a touch of yellow, and I mixed that together. What I'm gonna do for this tutorial is, because you can see these colors, I kind of wanted to give you another option in color choice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do mine in gray. I'm going to use grays and then a muted brown. So totally up to you what color choice you want to do. I know there are kids in my kindergarten class who would make this dog blue, and that's totally fine too. This is the guide, and then you have all the supplies to add your creativity to it. So let's get started. I am going to start with a pencil. I'm going to draw really lightly, just a guide for myself. And you can just start right away with your paintbrush. But I'm not going to do that just because I think sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of leeway, which means if I make a little mistake with my pencil, then when I go around it with my paint, I can kind of touch it up. So he's kind of got a shorter body. I'm going to kind of judge from here that I want my head right about here. So in the middle of that, I'm going to draw an oval for his nose. And then I'm going to come from the top of that oval, and I'm just going to make my way around and make his, I guess these would be considered jowls. And come around and back up. And don't worry about it being perfect. As you can see, I went a little too skinny and I just corrected myself, but the paint will go over top of that. So don't press too hard, but don't worry. I mean, these aren't perfectly symmetrical either. I don't want you to be too hard on yourself because once you have your final product, it's gonna be adorable. So now from the bottom of his jowls, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come up and around for his head. And then I'm going to make his eyes, and as you can see in the sample, I made his eyes pretty far apart. Now, depending if you make them closer together, it's not wrong. It just changes the personality of his face, and that's why I love these projects, is however you create it, creates a different personality. So I'm gonna do 2 eyes. And you can see for this one, my eyes are closer together. I actually kind of made that one not as big as the other one, so I'm gonna give it a little touch up here. Okay, and then in the middle, I'm going to put my circles. And he's so cute. And instead what I'm gonna do, so if you want, you can make yours further apart and put the lines in the middle. For him, I'm going to make his lines up here because my eyes are so close together. And then I'm going to connect underneath so that he can have his tongue. I'm gonna add his cute ears at the top here and here. So I kind of made them different. I made one curved and one kind of flipped up because we all know how dogs, how their ears kind of do that. And then once I have his face, I'm going to decide on how wide or how thin I want his body. And again, however you do it, just adds character to your picture. And then I'll add a cute little tail, and I'm ready to get started with my paint. Now, like I mentioned, I wanted to try a gray puppy. So I took white and actually I'll show you on here. I took a glob of white and a little bit of black, and I just started mixing it together until I had a color that I liked. I came up with this gray. So what I'm gonna do is take my gray and I'm going to paint all the way around. All the way around. And don't get hung up on your pencil marks, they're just a guide. So if I get too far into my ear, I can still make my ear bigger. And what you can do as well is, if you feel like the paint doesn't give you the coverage that you want, you can kind of use your paintbrush to go and outline like this, and then you can go back and darken it up if you want. And all these little streaky marks are actually really cute because dogs have fur, and this kind of acts like giving the dog some texture. So I'm just gonna come around his eyeball and around his jowls and connect it. And there we go, I've got his face. And I'm just gonna come down in here. And don't worry if when you come into this part, it's still kind of rough. As you can see, at the end, I'll take black and do some outlining, and that'll clean it all up and make it look a little bit more smooth. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna come back down here again and through here. There we go. I'm just gonna leave it like that because then I can take my black and go around. So now I still want to use that same color for my body. So I'm gonna come from here and come all the way down. There we go. And you may need to mix some more paint, which it looks like I'll have to do. So I'm going to take my black and white here and oops, I'm gonna start mixing it. And you will need a lot more white than black. As you can see, I had quite a bit of white on there. And because this is the main color in this picture, besides the background color, you will need quite a bit of paint. I don't like on these to squeeze out too much because I find that like with these squeeze ones, you can't put the paint back. So then you have to cover it up and it's harder to store. So your paint goes a lot longer, or you can get more out of it if you just take what you need. So now I'll start painting again. Looks like I got pretty close to the color I had started with. And now this paint is actually a little clumpier because I noticed when I took my paint out, this was one of my older paints. So I'm gonna have to smooth this out a bit more. Yours will be more like this top part, but you might be noticing these clumps, and that's just because I'm using some paint that was a little bit older. There's probably some tricks to keeping it smooth, but I had the lid on and I think it was just a little too old. But I don't like to waste, so I'm using it. So as you can see, his body is coming along. I'm doing nice long strokes because I want to smooth him out. But I also don't mind these little lines in between because it just kind of adds texture. Okay. And hopefully you're getting the colors that you want on your canvas board, or even on your watercolor paper. You really can adapt this lesson. I mean, you could even color it with markers, right? You could draw it out and then color everything with marker. And when we get to the outlining part with black, that will really add to your marker picture too, if that's what you're working with. go. Oh, wow. Okay, so we've got our gray on there, and you may be thinking that it doesn't quite look like it's supposed to, and you're right, but it will. It definitely will. So I'm gonna put my brush in the water and clean it off. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, I had mixed some of my brown with yellow. So I'm gonna mix that up for you here. Just a touch of brown with the yellow. And then I'm gonna add some white in there. Maybe a touch more brown. I might have to squeeze some more brown in there actually. And I'll show you what that looks like. I'm gonna squeeze it on the side and then kind of bring it down because I don't want it to be too dark. I'm looking for a softer brown tone. It's kind of got like, even looks like a little pink undertone. And then I want to take this and I want to mix it with my white till I get a color that I like. And I want to make sure that's all blended. And I don't need a lot because I'm just going to be painting in here in his jowls. And then I think I'm going to stick with my theme and keep his ears the same color as his jowls too. Yeah, I like that color. And you can decide. Some of you might want to take like white and add a little red and make it pink in there. That would be really cute too. And then I'm gonna make my color again. Kind of ran out. So I'll mix my yellow with my brown and scoop in some white. So I hope you have fun like with the color mixing as much as the painting, because I know when I was a kid, I loved color mixing. I thought that was so fun to make different colors from other colors. Kind of seemed like magic at the time. Okay, so I'm gonna go in like that. And go down here. There we go, smooth that out. You do have to be a touch careful because your gray is still wet and you'll pull it in if you come too far over. And so you might need to smooth some of that out. Oh, those are cute jowls. Okay, so I needed a little bit more than I thought. So I'm going to take my yellow and this brown, and see how the brown has that red undertone in it, which is nice because as you mix your colors, like I thought this had like a little bit of peach in it, and I like that. And that's probably because there's some red in the brown. Need a bit more white to lighten this up. And then this will be our ears. Oh, see, too much white. So now I gotta add more of the brown. That's okay. You just play around till you get the color you want. So now I'm gonna take this and come into my ears, and I can tell it's more, there's not enough yellow as I'm putting it on. And if that happens to you, then you can add it, or you might like the little bit of difference. So there's his 1 ear. I think that looks really cute. And come over to this side for his other ear. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my black now, because I need to do all the finishing details. Or actually, you know what? Before I do that, I think we better do the background. So we've got most of our dog done. And I showed you before how to take green, blue, and yellow and mix it together to make teal. I have my teal right here. It was 2 parts blue, 1 part green, and then half a part yellow. And what I'm gonna do is just paint my background. And actually, this is one of my smaller brushes. I'll use the same one you guys have. So we'll go like this. And I find in the background, you're gonna wanna pick a direction that you're painting. So either this way or this way. Find this way, it works a bit better for coming up to the edge of your gray, because this gray will still be a touch wet and we don't want to mix those. And this is kind of the part where you might want to put some music on and just enjoy the process of painting. And see, I'm just going along my gray because my gray is like still wet. You can leave even like a slight white line, because we are going to take black and outline it. And come along the ear here, kind of outline it with the teal, and then fill this in. I really like that color contrast together. Looks really good. And come up around the tail. And I'm gonna make a bit more paint. So remember I had 2 parts blue, 1 part green. I'm gonna mix those together. And I'm gonna add some yellow to it. I like these little cups because they kind of hold the paint in together for mixing. So I'm gonna add some yellow. It's about half a part yellow. You can see that. I'm gonna mix that in there. And then this is the original color I got. So then what I did is I added some white to lighten it up a touch. Oops, I might have put too much. Let's see. That really came out. Okay, I'm gonna show you though, in case you're remixing. Let's see how light that makes it. Yeah, that made it really, really light. So that just means, oh my gosh, I went way too white. But see, I like to show you this because this might happen to you and then you need to adjust. So my white came out too much, that's okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some more blue. And then some more green. And then we'll see if I need to add some more yellow. Oh yeah, but you know what? Sometimes also, well, I actually kind of like this color better than the one I did here, but sometimes also if it's just not darkening up, what you might need to do is beside, start over. So I'm gonna do 2 parts blue, 1 part green, half a part yellow. And since I've already got some light stuff on my brush, that'll probably count as my white. Because that white just really took over. Okay, this is closer to what I wanted. All right. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm not gonna do the top part because that might make the video too long for you, but I am gonna finish going all the way down along the puppy. And I'm gonna show you this way too, where you can just kind of outline, because we're gonna come back and do the fine touches. And then you can come out from here. Because we don't want to mix too much of our paint with the gray. So it's nice to kind of outline where the teal should come up to, and then join it to the edge of your canvas. And what I'm gonna do too is, because I didn't get the exact same color, I'm gonna work this color back up into the parts that I've already done to kind of blend it. That looks really pretty, I like that. And you might find this is a really big job. So you might find that you get tired, and feel free to take breaks because you don't want to rush this. It's something that you can hang on your wall and be really proud of. I find that those big jobs, those big painting jobs that take us a while, I'm often the most proud of. And I think, you know, when I watch you kids do these in my class or in different areas, and you're just always so proud of what you come up with. And they're all different, but they all just have their own unique personality. So what I'm gonna do, because this is a little greener, I'm noticing, I'm going to take this and then also work it up towards the blue or teal I did. Okay, so now take some of this and add it to here. Work some of that in. That's some extra paint here. There, I like that. That looks really cool. Okay, so now is the part where I feel like the finishing touches really bring it all together. What I'm gonna use in your kit, you have like 2 sizes of brushes, and I'm actually gonna grab one of my smaller brushes. And this is where we're gonna use the black. Now, I prefer to wait till this is all dry. It'll be much easier to work with. But for time's sake, I'm gonna show you right now while it's not completely dry. So I'm going to paint in his nose. Already that just really pops, doesn't it? And then I'm going to, you don't want too much paint on your brush. And I actually like to dab. I like to go like this and just kind of dab it. Now, if it's dry, you can just sort of draw this on. If it's still wet, dabbing makes it so that you don't smear. And you kind of have a little bit more control, but you can bring that up and come down here. And do the same, kind of starting from the top of his nose. And just make sure there's not too much paint on your brush. But I like how this guy's coming together, and you know, it's all just shapes, right? So when you're outlining him, you can see that he's just shapes put together to make a really cute puppy. Now you can see, because this isn't dry, how it's starting to mix with the gray. I'm gonna hold off on that spot for a bit, because what I wanna do is get his eyes in. And then I'm gonna come around where I painted his eyes. And I'm gonna come all the way around. Not putting very much pressure, sort of letting it glide. actually barely touching it. I'm gonna do the same over here. See how his face is coming together though? Looks so good. I'll just smooth that out. Ooh, he looks so cute. And then you can see how, like, especially around his ears, when you put that black in, how it really makes his ears stand out against the teal. Now, of course, like I said, mine is too wet to be doing this, but I just really want you to see how the finishing touches look. And I'll come over here and do that. And then you can make sure that when you go around his head, I'm gonna go like this, the top of his head. He's really coming together. And if you wait till this is completely dry, you won't have any of this smearing, but I'm gonna go for it right here. So you can kind of see how the black really brings him out. I'm gonna give him some dots. Let's try and get around his tail here. So cute. I'm just gonna dab this because it's still so wet. Okay, so you get the idea. He's all outlined in black. I'm actually gonna give the black a rest for a minute because I also wanna show you just this one last little part, your red. You wanna have his little red mouth in there. That's super cute too. Now on my sample, I put little paws in the front, which is nice because it kind of breaks up the main color. So I just did a couple lines down with two little paws. So let's look here and see if I can show you while it's still wet. I'm just gonna come to this side and draw some paws. Go 1, 2, 1, 2. There he is. Pug Love. Just a cutie. If you do this and your parents are on Facebook or Instagram, I would love to see how yours turn out. I noticed I missed a few little lines up here. I'd love to see what colors you chose and how your little pugs came out, but thank you for joining me for Pug Love. See you next time. Bye.